Hi guys, and welcome to this overview video for Motogp 18, which of course is available now on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC. Of course there's also a Switch version. Okay, so kicking off with some gameplay here as we talk over some of the new details we can expect to see in Motogp 18. Of course, the game is probably best seen as a reboot of the series, which is now of course running on the Unreal Engine 4 first time in the series, which makes for some enhanced graphics as well as some reworked physics. We have some more realistic lighting as well as some improved particle and weather effects. Tracks have been modelled using a drone scanning system which should allow for more accuracy, and riders' faces have been captured using 3D scanning techniques. Of course, we have the MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3 and Red Bull Rookie classes. The game features no less than 30 cutscenes including podium celebrations. Other improvements include improved AI, which now has a difficulty slider which increases all the way up to 120%, so hopefully that should be enough to satisfy the very best players. Of course, there is tyre wear as well to consider. Another new welcome feature is the spectator mode for online multiplayer. Okay, so that was a quick run through of some of the new details. So jumping into the menu then, just to see what we have available. So let's have a little look at the career mode. Of course, as always, you can set your character. Various things here to input, including name, age, nicknames and colours. Of course, you can opt for different race lengths as well as race sessions, and whether bike damage and tyre wear are on or not, as well as some manual starts which involve using a clutch, and of course we have penalties as well. Now, a full weekend includes no less than 4 practice sessions, 2 qualifying sessions, a warm-up and then of course the race itself, so no less than 8 sessions in total for the more hardcore fans. You can see there the difficulty up to 120% extreme, which again, like I said earlier, should hopefully satisfy the top players. And a little look here at the different riding aids, including the physics. Normal, assisted and pro are the 3 options, and of course you can also turn off any of these other settings, including off-track help and the auto tuck in. As before, of course, you'll earn reputation, and transfer windows occur at certain times of the season where you will receive offers from teams from all categories, according of course to your reputation. Of course, there are the regular emails from your managers, which you can get some details on upcoming events and where you stand in the championship. And of course there are the social feeds as well, which we've seen previously, which is a nice touch, just gives it that little bit of extra realism. Calendar, of course, will see all your upcoming events. In this case, the Red Bull Rookie only has a handful of tracks, I believe it's about 6 or 7. Of course, the stand-ins you can check here for each of the 4 main classes on offer. Details on your career can also be seen under the My Career page. Information there on wins and podiums, and of course which level your rider is at. Of course, completing races will enable you to level up. And of course we have the rider customization as well, so you can change your details here at this page, and also your riding style as we've seen previously, so changing whether it's sort of elbows to the ground, knees to the ground, or an old school style if you like. Of course, helmets, a wide range of helmets now, rather than being separated into manufacturers, they are sort of lumped into one massive long line, so you will have to scroll through quite a lot of items to find the one that you wish. So different colours and styles, so quite a few options there available. Okay, so back into some gameplay here then. This is a Moto3 bike. I just wanted to show off the various onboard cameras because they have changed since Motogp 17. You'll notice here very close this time round to the windshield, whereas before you was very much separate of the bike, and you can see the rider's heights changing all the time, and of course you see the bike swinging left and right, so it is very different. So it will take some time to get used to if you are used to playing Motogp 17. And of course with the new physics it's going to be a bit of a handful to get to grips with at the start, so it's probably worth adding some assists to start with just so you can get used to new handling and the way the bike moves in the first person viewpoint. Of course we do have somewhat of a helmet cam because we have these sort of muted bike sounds as if to suggest it's in a helmet, and there is some sort of dimming on the screen to suggest a visor, but we don't actually physically see the helmet this time around. And this viewpoint is very different from the cockpit view I just showed you as well, so this is somewhat more of a Motogp 17 cockpit cam viewpoint in that the camera moves around quite a lot, but it still feels different. So you know, you have two of these viewpoints, you're just going to have to find which one works best for you. It's nice to see that they have included two onboard viewpoints which are vastly different from one another. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the other modes on offer. Of course, we have the Grand Prix, Time Attack, Championship and Tutorials. So the idea is, of course, to follow the line as closely as possible, get your braking points right, and then pass the sort of speed cameras, if you like, at the required speed. Doing so will give you a green tick, and then of course the idea is then to tick each and every of the 5 boxes. So it's a nice little interactive tutorial here just to serve as an aid to learn the basics of riding a bike at speed. So in the championship mode, of course, you can create a custom championship in any of the disciplines on offer. If you don't like a track, you can simply remove it from the roster there on the right and select your favourite tracks. Once you've added all your tracks, you can of course opt to change some of the options before jumping into the action. Of course, the game also features leaderboards for each and every discipline at each and every track. I doubt there'll be some competitive action going on here. Of course, the Grand Prix mode is where you can quickly take part in a race, and Time Attack is a great place to learn each and every track. So online features, of course, you have the option there for a public and a private race, and you can see here a quick look at the options available. So whether you have AI on or off, the difficulty of the AI, and whether or not to have collisions and tyre wear on or off, as well as any imposed limits on the physics chosen by the players. Of course, the Motogp Esports Championship returns, this time including Xbox One and PC players to join the existing PlayStation 4 players as before. We await details on this. If you want to find out a little bit more, of course, do have a look at the website. Motogp Id is where you'll find your basic information here, along with how many hours you've played, races and wins, as well as your favourite rider and track, which can also be edited.
Greetings from the Marco Simoncelli World Circuit in Misano, where the Moto2 race is about to begin. As you can tell from the footage we're broadcasting from the track, we're looking forward to great weather for the race. Okay,
so closing out the video here with a race at the San Marino Grand Prix.
We are now coming from the starting grid, where everything seems ready. It's always difficult to predict the results of a Moto2 race, but the riders we're seeing right now definitely seem to be the favourites. Taking their places on the starting grid, riders are deep in concentration, with just a few seconds to go until this San Marino Grand Prix begins.
Okay, so waiting for the off, we have the Cockpit View once again. Away we go. So working our way through the gears, approaching the first couple of corners. Always a hairy moment this when the race first starts. You have so many bikers that you have to try your best to avoid. It's always tricky from the onboard camera to do that. So I am sort of being very aggressive early on just to make up a few places, because we've only got 3 laps of course in this Moto2 race. And just getting used to this viewpoint really. It is very different to what we've seen in Motogp 17. But it is a very nice viewpoint because you seem to get very up close to the sort of opponents. And of course with the improved audio, you know, it does make for quite a raw and visceral experience. So a bit of contact there as we go through this right-hander. First lap of 3 as we get towards the latter stages. We will be checking out the replay after the race, so do stay tuned for that. So full commitment through that right-hander, running a little bit wide. Again, a sort of high speed right before hitting the brakes as it continues right for a fourth right-hander into a fifth. So it's a very nice flowing track this. A couple of left-handers which gets us back near the end of the track. Onto the start-finish straight now. So completing our first lap, no major dramas, a few bumps here and there, but once again I'm just sort of getting used to the new physics and the way the bikes handle in this viewpoint, which is very different from before. Let us know in the comments, of course, what you make of the game, which you no doubt will be playing by now. And also let us know if you're interested in making a purchase. Very much seems like a reboot. There are some features taken out as well as added, but I believe that the improved graphics and physics certainly make for a game that's more challenging, I would say, than last year's offering. So if you are a veteran player of the MotoGP series and perhaps it may be getting a little bit too easy for you, then I guess it's worth checking out Motogp 18 just for that extra difficulty that it does now offer. And because this is the first game on the Unreal Engine 4 for the MotoGP series, of course, you know, they're still finding their feet milestone with this new engine, so no doubt they'll be coming back strong for next year's package. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next year in terms of any bells and whistles they'll be adding to the career modes. It's nice to see they have 30 cutscenes this time around. You have like the podium scenes and stuff, and you have some nice scenes pre-race as well, which just add to the realism and the feeling of actually being in the sport, which is really good to see. So we hope they expand on that in future iterations. So coming round now to finish the second lap of 3. So I run very wide there. Wow. As you can see there, the AI are punishing me. Even 80% difficulty, you know, you make a little mistake like that and you're going to get 2 or 3 riders past you. So it really is pretty tough, especially on this viewpoint. So we're currently sort of battling in the sort of midfield. I believe there was 32 runners in total. I'm now in 18th place. So on this difficulty, I would really have to put in some serious laps to be competitive for the front places. And seeing as there's a lot more difficulty to go, you know, in terms of, it's on 80 now, it could be as much as 120. You know, it certainly should provide a massive challenge. Certainly more so than I could handle. Of course, we have other bike games coming out towards the end of the month. MXGP Pro from Milestone also comes out. Be interesting to see how that is. It certainly is an interesting approach. They're really going for the simulation, so no doubt we'll have some content on that towards, or getting towards the end of the month. So do stay tuned for that. So Moto2 bikes, you know, not as quick as the MotoGP bikes, of course, but there's still a handful. I found that perhaps the most difficult challenge here was actually the braking. It's very sensitive on the brakes, so you've got to be very, very frugal on your brakes. You've got to be very slight, putting those very delicate inputs if you want to get these bikes around the track at any speed. So we're going to be coming around for the last turn here and finishing this race. So that was it for a overview of Motogp 18, and stay tuned to have a look at the replay. Thanks for watching.
Well, how do you like it?